Hi, thanks for sticking with this so long. I want to say that the SSUV rollout is very condensed with capability, right? There is a lot of functionality and a little bit of space. So these videos have been long just to cover that because that is the core of the tool set here. Now that we're getting past SSUV, right after we cover this packing section, the rest of the sections will go along nice and smooth. We don't really need to spend a lot of time on these. So from here on out, it should be nice and quick. All right. So let's jump right into the packing here. If we left click on the packing button, we're told we need an unwrap modifier. And we do because this button opens up the editor. Okay. Not only does it open up the editor, but it provides the packing tool. Now in the packing tool, we have four options here: unfold, non-convex, recursive, and linear. And that's what we have here. 1 is linear, 2 is non-convex, 3 is recursive, and 4 is unfold 3D. And I can't remember if I misspoke, but I apologize if I did. Let's see. So the padding number here is set here. I've also included a padding button. So if you utilize the left click on that, it will scale each element down by the math of your texture calculation on your padding increment. And if you right click, it will inverse that to scale it up. So you can fine tune things. Now, I do not have pixel perfect padding features added to SSUV. However, it is on the listing of plans or, to come features. I'm not sure if it's needed or not. So if it is that important to have pixel perfect padding, let me know. Anyhow, so next we have normalize clusters, which is the U1 V1 button here. It's a check button. When it's dark, that means it's on. Okay. Rotate clusters, that's turned on. Fill holes is turned on. Rescale clusters is scale, that's turned on. These are all turned on, and I keep these all on by default. Maybe you don't like rotate being on because maybe you don't want your elements rotated. So you get the idea there. For packing resolution, the iterations and map size, those are not implemented anywhere in SSUV. I have not looked into those features. I've not needed to, but it is on my list to look into. If you feel that those are important, let me know. I'd like to just see a quick example so I can wrap my head around them without having to spend time looking into it and analyzing it myself. And then I can figure out how to implement it. Or if you have an idea of how to implement it, let me know what you think. All right. So at this point, let's open up the padding section here. Now I would run through all of these different settings with what this looks like when you have these different options changed, but these are pretty default to max. So if you know what they do, go ahead and change them. If you're new to UV mapping, you can just leave these turned on. They're probably your best friend in that instance, okay? And same here with default packing method of 3. So these are what I find to be the ideal settings across the board. And I think that's what the Max devs have basically found across the board too. However, I do see Unfold 3D being placed as a default at times in certain areas. I don't agree with that in certain cases, but that's primarily how SSUV behaves, because every time you implement an Unfold 3D algorithm, you need to open up the editor in order to complete that function or the functionality, or 3ds Max will crash. So just so you know, SSUV will handle that for you. Anytime you implement an Unfold 3D operation in SSUV, we automatically open up the editor window so that you do not end up crashing or having a problem. Basically, all of SSUV is built like that. Avoid crashes, avoid tool problems, and provide information in the info bar section here, the info bar section here as well, which is the same thing basically, right? Nice to see you, same difference. You get the idea. Just so you see this, it doesn't matter where you change the settings. These panels update, cross back and forth, right? It's all the same thing in the end. Okay. But I will show this to you since I didn't get to this in the other part of the video. If we select the floating preview, we get this section here and this preview window. We do not get the top buttons, but we can close this window and then click this to get it back. If we move it, we don't know where it went, we can click this to get it back. Okay, we can close that and utilize the system here like this, and we can close this and then click this to get it back. Okay. Now let's continue on with the packing section. We have all those settings specified. Okay. Let's bring up the editor because it will be easier to show you with this. Okay. I am going to select a padding size of, yeah, that's good. I'm going to click padding, left click. You see that the elements are being scaled on their own. So per element scaling is going down. So if I right click, it's going to invert that scaling size. Now note that when you do this, it will cause overlapping. So there is no perfect solution to utilizing a large amount of padding change other than setting the padding number and then clicking a packing method. And that's what you get for that default setting, which is pretty wild. We do not want that. So let's right click to reset, left click to pack, and there we go. So now when you're using packing algorithms here, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you see that 3 is set as default because we have these buttons here that set the default method. 1 will pack the entire selection together. Let's see. I can't remember if it does it the other way too. Yep. Okay. There we go. We select all of it and we left click 1, left click 2, left click 3. Now that's just packing them based upon the settings that we have specified. Okay. Now I'm going to select that amount and then click element with a left click and then move that out. I'm going to select this and right click on 1, right click 2, and right click 3. Now you notice we're not scaling, we're not filling the UV1 space, we're doing what is called pack together. And you'll see that here. In the tooltip, it says RC packs together, keeps scale. Okay. And it's the same through the board until you get to Unfold 3D. Unfold 3D algorithms ignore cluster scaling, grouping, and other things too. It's not as full feature as the other packing methods. Actually, the other algorithms based upon how different things are used. Unfold 3D isn't as feature complete as other options are. It doesn't need to be either. It does a good job of organic unwrap solving. So it's good at what it does, right? Okay. So we can pack all together, or we can take sections and pack together. We can scale this down. Then I can take this and I can right click pack together and put that in the top corner. I can select this, change a different pack together like that, and place that in the top left corner. And you get the idea, right? Now, let's see what else is there here. Those are the default settings, padding, information, packing. I think we're good to go. Anytime you change settings here, whoops, it is reflected, and I believe I've said this a few times already, but I need to say it again. Sorry. The settings that you'll find here rely on the packing settings you have specified as default. So U1, V1 being checked, fill being checked, rotate being checked, scale being checked. I'll give you a perfect example right now, just for the sake of it. I'm going to turn off U1, V1 and open that editor back up. I am now going to do a walk to closest face. Or is it the loop? Okay, yeah, it's the loop. Okay. So you see how we're completely out of that space, right? We're way off of 0 to 1. Okay. So if I turn that back on, right click, get the editor back open, and then I left click loop, There you go. We're back. We're inside the space. We're contained. Okay. So all of these functions behave, well, not all of them, but a lot of them behave on that manner. Well, that's an odd thing to say. It's best to, yeah.